Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Darian and today we're going to be doing something a little fun. Basically, I decided that instead of doing a November TBR, I was gonna have one of my besties, Sid, from Sid Bookworm. I'm sure we all know her and love her, but just in case you don't, I will leave her channel link down below. One of my favorite people ever, honestly, but like, if you know me, I'm sure you know her. But anyways, I decided to let her choose my TBR for November because I've been in a bit of a reading slump the past few months. Basically, ever since I started my new job, I've just been having trouble balancing working and reading. And the way Sid talks about books, I'm always like, wow, I want to read that and I want to read that. And also, a lot of the books that she's read recently are already on my TBR. So I'm like, why don't I just let her control my reading for the month? So that's what this video is.
I said, I want to make history. And that's what this is.
Now, this video didn't go quite according to plan because, spoiler alert, I have already finished this video. But originally, the plan was she was going to choose 5 books for me to read in November, and I read half of that. So I did read more than 2.5 books this month, but of the books she gave me, I only read 2.5, which you will see in a second. But basically, November was a really stressful month in terms of work for me, and I know I talk about that in this video, so more on that later. But it was just a stressful time and I was just reading really slowly. I couldn't extend this vlog past November because of other video plans I have, so you're just gonna see me do my best. So it's not exactly the video I wanted it to be, but I think it's still a good video and you'll see how I liked the books that Sid recommended to me. Also, I feel like I should address this, but you may have noticed I did a little rebrand. I changed my channel name, I changed the banner and everything. I also changed my Instagram. So the new name is Darian the Librarian. It's actually an idea I've had for a long time, but I didn't want to do it until I was actually a librarian. And then I was like, I might as well just wait till the end of the year to do it. And then I was like, why wait? Like, we're almost, the end of the year is almost here, like, might as well just do it now. So I did it. I hope you guys like the name. I don't think anyone will be confused because it's still my name and I don't think there's many other Darians out there, but anyways, so if you like the name, let me know, and if you don't let me know. I don't want to know. It's none of my business. So yeah, so let's just get into this vlog where I read books that Sid chose for me. Hello, I am finally doing the first update for this video. I don't want to tell you the date because this is supposed to be a month-long thing and it is November 15th. And if you're good at math, you know that's halfway through the month, but it's fine, it's fine. Anyways, so I finished the first book for this video the other day and I kept meaning to update, but I've been so tired because I've been working so much and I need to give this video the energy it deserves because that's what Sid deserves, okay? So anyways, I have a day off today. I am refreshed. Anyways, so the first book that I read for this video was The Lost Story by Meg Schaefer, and I read this very quickly. I mean, it took me a few days to read like the first half, and then I read the second half in one sitting. I loved this book. And Sid kept telling me this feels like a Darian book, and she was so right. And I do feel like if I had read this like even a few years ago, I wouldn't have liked it as much. Like, it did take me a little bit to get into it. I found the writing, well, okay, I will say this, I had no idea what this book was about. Like, I did not read the synopsis, so I had no idea what would end up happening in this book, which, like, I read the synopsis after, and I would highly recommend not doing that before reading this book because the stuff that the synopsis mentions only happens like halfway through or like 100 pages in. And I'm really glad I didn't know that that's where this book was going before I picked it up. So that's what I recommend, but all I'll say is, what do I want to say? This is fantasy, and it's about this girl whose sister went missing, I think 15 years ago, and there's this guy who is like famous for finding people, specifically girls. He seems to always find missing girls and women, and he has like, it's almost like he has a magic power. that allows him to find these girls who have gone missing. And when he was younger, when he was 15, him and his best friend went missing in the woods. They've never spoken about what happened. One of them doesn't even remember what happened. They were gone for 6 months. It was a big thing. And then this guy went on to find other kids. I think it's usually kids, but people who have been lost. So she's like, if anyone can find my sister, it's this guy. So she goes to meet him and is like, will you help me find my sister? And then things happen. And like, there's just something about this. I mean, there's one thing specifically, and it would definitely be a spoiler if I talked about it, but there was something very healing about this book. And I don't know, like, you know, I find often like books like The House in the Cerulean Sea is described as like middle grade for adults, and I feel like this definitely fits that description because this is definitely an adult book. Even though it is very like whimsical, there are a lot of heavy themes in this book. I would definitely check trigger warnings before going into it. There is abuse, specifically by a parent. There is kidnapping, and there's other things I think that I'm just not remembering. So definitely check the trigger warnings. But it just like, I don't know, I felt like this was healing my inner child, if that makes sense. And also there was a romance in this book that was just so sweet. Like, oh, so sweet. Oh my gosh. So I really loved this, and honestly, like, I don't know if any other book in this video will beat this, but I loved it. Like, this just felt like such a personal book to me, and if anyone reads this and doesn't love it, like, I understand, because it did take me a little bit to get into it, but then once I was in it, I was in it. So yeah, so this was 5 stars. And is probably one of my favorite books of the year, honestly. Like, I just really love this, and it makes it even more special because Sid is the one who gifted this to me. So I'm like, aw, like, she gave me this book to read, but she also literally gave it to me, you know? So anyways, this was a roaring success for the first book. And then this next book, technically Sid didn't tell me to read it for this video. Basically, I had this book on hold from the library, and I thought that it would take much longer for it to get to me, but then my hold came in, and then I remembered Sid gave this 5 stars, so I said, can you just tell me to read this for this video? So that book is The Will of the Many by James Islington, I think. Wow, look at that. Ooh. So this is very different. This is high fantasy, and I mean, they're both adult fantasy, but like, this is high fantasy. You know, like, that's more urban fantasy, high fantasy. So I'm not very far into this yet. I'm on page 94. And it's over 600 pages. I honestly don't know what's going on. It's definitely like the beginning of a fantasy book where you're just kind of thrown into this new world, and they're just using words that like you should know, but obviously you don't know. So I am a little confused about what's going on, but I'm not disliking it. I am enjoying this. I don't know why I'm holding it like this. I am enjoying this, and I'm very excited to see where it goes, because some people have told me like, once it clicks, it'll click, and like literally everyone I know who has read this has loved it and given it 4 or 5 stars. I mean, Sid gave it 5 stars. So I'm just gonna trust that I will figure out what's going on. I can't really tell you much about what it's about because I don't even really know what's going on. All I know is that there is an academy setting at some point. We're not really there yet, but are we there? Maybe. But yeah, so I'm not very far into this, and I will try to update throughout these reads from now on instead of just reading the whole thing, but we'll see how that goes. My goal was to read 5 books for this video. I don't know if that's gonna happen if it took me almost half the month to read the first book. But it's fine. We're doing our best over here. Basically, the goal of this video is just to get out of my reading slump, and I think it's starting to work, and I knew Sid would be the one to do that for me. So yeah. So those are my updates so far, and I'm just gonna go and continue this, and hopefully it won't take me the rest of the month to finish. Hello, it's me again. Remember me? I'm not even gonna tell you what date it is because we're fast approaching the end of November. I don't know what happened in November, but suddenly we're at the end of it. But anyways, I have made progress on The Will of the Many. I am about halfway, like almost halfway. And I am really enjoying this book, but I wish it wasn't taking me so long. Also, the font in this book is absolutely tiny. Also, yes, wow, can you even see that? Not really. But yes, I did finish reading literally the last page of a chapter. It's fine. This is taking me a while, and it's not because I'm not enjoying it. I am enjoying it. I'm still pretty confused about what's going on, and so this is definitely a book that I think you're meant to read slower. I don't know, maybe I'm just dumb, but like it's taking me a long time to grasp this world and what is going on. I don't even know if I can give you a better synopsis, but essentially what I understand is you're following our main character Vis, who we know that's not his real name, and we don't know too much about his past, but we know he's kind of trying to hide who he really is, and we know that his family was killed by this government that kind of rules this world, I think. And I think it's either the government or kind of the system is called the wow, I'm not good at saying that word. The hierarchy. And essentially it's built upon people ceding their will to other people, and will is kind of like the element, I guess, and what makes people stronger. So as the name of the hierarchy suggests, it's kind of this pyramid system where like the person at the top of the pyramid is getting the most will because the people under them are ceding all the will they're getting from the people under them. So the person at the top has the most, you know what I'm saying? And Vis is at this academy and he's doing stuff and he's trying to figure something out. What is he trying to figure out? I don't completely understand. So yeah, I'm just having a bit of difficulty understanding everything that's going on in this book. And I don't know if it's me or if it's the book, or I think I might just be reading it at the wrong time. Like, I'm having a really stressful time at work lately. I am trying, so I don't know if you're interested, but basically I've mentioned this in a few other vlogs, but if you didn't know, I'm a librarian, and at my library I am responsible for buying all the English books for not only my library but 9 libraries in our system, and I live in Quebec, so most of the books, and I would say like 60-40 of the books in our collection are French versus English, but I buy all the English books. Oh my god, I have to keep stopping because Lasso keeps barking. He's been quiet all morning and now he decides to bark. But anyways, I buy all the books for all the English books for 9 libraries, and the end of the fiscal year is the end of November, and I've never worked with a budget before, so in my head I was thinking, you know, a budget, you're not supposed to spend over the budget. So up until now I've been making sure that I'm spending like just under the budget, and then I found out that you're actually supposed to spend more. You're supposed to spend over the budget because that way, like at the end of the year, they can take their time processing the order so that they make sure they like at least reach the budget, and then they can be like, oh look, we need more money for our budget, so can you make our budget higher next year? Which like completely makes sense now that I know that, but that means I am very behind. Well, now I'm doing better, but I was very behind on trying to get over the budget for all 9 libraries. Okay. A big truck just drove by and that sent Laszlo into orbit. So we're back. I am so tired. I've had to get up like 5 times since I started filming this clip. But as I was saying, I think I was talking about work, and so I have until the end of November to spend all the budget and more for the 9 libraries that I buy for. That's all I'm trying to say. Basically, all that to say is work has been quite stressful. And so I feel like a high fantasy is not really like what I should be reading right now. But I don't, like, I'm not gonna DNF this or anything, but I think what I'm gonna do is start something else and read them kind of simultaneously, so that when I'm in the mood for this, I'll pick this up, and when my brain needs a break, like I feel like it does today, I'm gonna read something else. So this was also on Sid's list of books for me to read, and that is The Spell Shop by Sarah Beth Durst. And I just have such a good feeling about this book. All I know is that it's cozy fantasy, it's about a librarian, so I feel like I will relate to that. But I know she opens a spell shop in this town, and she's very like recluse. She's quite an introvert, I think, and everyone in the town wants to be her friend. It reminds me a bit of Emily Wilde. I think there's like a grumpy sunshine dynamic with a guy who lives nearby. I don't know, but I think she's grumpy and he's sunshine. I don't know, it just sounds like a really cute time. It's also not very long, and like just look at the difference in size of these books. Like this feels much more manageable to me right now. Let's look at the font. Oh my god, it's so big. Love this for me. How many pages is it? 350 about. Wow. Amazing. So I think I'm gonna start this today. I have the day off and my brain is just fried. Like my whole week has just been buying as many books as possible while still making sure they're good books and not just like buying whatever. Which like, I feel like that sounds like, oh my god, you're complaining about the dream job of buying books. Like, I understand how that sounds, but let me tell you, it's been really stressful. So you obviously you don't have to feel that bad for me, but you could feel a little bad for me. So anyways, I think I'm gonna cozy up and read this, or I might eat lunch first. Actually, I'm kind of hungry, but I'm gonna start this and I'm really excited, and I think reading something else will make me more in the mood to read this, if that makes sense. So yeah, we're gonna start this. I'm hoping I can finish at least one of these before the end of November. I mean, I still have, what is the date today? I still have over a week, so we should be fine. But yes, this is what we're doing right now. We're gonna pivot to this, but still read this. You get it. Okay, goodbye. Hello, it's me again. So I'm here to wrap up this vlog. So I did end up reading the entirety of The Spell Shop. I kind of got sucked into it and did not read any more of Will of the Many. When I'm filming this, it's actually the beginning of December, so November's done. That means this video is done, and I'm still at the same place I was in the Will of the Many. I had to return it to the library because I had like 20 reservations, and I'm not rushing to continue it, but I'm not gonna officially DNF it because I am interested to know what happens. I just think my brain couldn't handle that book right now. But this was perfect. I loved this so much. So I did explain a bit about what I thought this book was about, but basically you're following, I don't know how to pronounce the names. I think I said Keela in my head, but it might be Kyla, it might be Kiela, I'm not sure, but I'm gonna say Keela. So she is a librarian, like I mentioned, loved the library rep, and basically in the city where she lives in, there is kind of a revolution brewing, and at the very beginning of the book her library is set on fire and she is forced to flee with her friend and assistant named Kaz, who is a sentient plant. Love him so much. And she ends up going to this small island where she grew up called, what is it called? A remote island, oh no, Caltray? Does it say? It starts with a C, I swear. They go to the island where she grew up, and she hasn't been back there since she was a little girl, and her parents moved her to the city, and her parents are now both dead. And her plan is to just lay low on this island. She doesn't like talking to people. She is very much introverted, and she stole a few of the books from her library because they're actually spell books and she didn't want that knowledge to get lost in the fires. So she brought them to this island, but it's important that no one knows she has these books. But of course, you know, people on the island are friendly. They want to get to know her. And she starts making jam in order to make some money. She meets one of her neighbors. Again, I don't know how to say his name. I think it's Laren. That's how I said it in my head. Who is very nice and very charming. And he's always wanting to talk to her, like, how dare he? And it's just a very, like, cute, cozy time. There's definitely, like, stakes in this book, but I was never, like, stressed reading it. And I was starting to worry that I didn't like cozy fantasy because I liked Legends and Lattes. I didn't love it. I liked Tellers of Small Fortunes. Is that what it's called? The Teller of Small Fortunes. I gave that 3 stars. It was very meh for me. So I was starting to worry I didn't like cozy fantasy because there's usually not much of a plot. But this, I found there was enough of a plot for me to care, but it's definitely more about the characters, who I also cared a lot about. My one thing with this book is that it had like 3 different endings. And like, it's not a very long book, but this definitely could have been cut like 50 pages because there was like a problem and then we resolved it, but then there was another problem and then we resolved it, but then there was a third problem, and I was like, okay, let's just wrap it up now. Like, this is unnecessary. So I give it 4.5 just because I think it could have been a little bit shorter, but I thought it was really cute. I love the characters. I love the little romance in this. So cute. So this was another win for me. So yes, those are the books I read for this video. Obviously it was not as much as I would have liked. Sid gave me like 5 books to read and I read 2.5 of them, but I did read a 5-star and a 4.5, so I call that a win. And I am enjoying The Will of the Many, and technically she didn't even tell me to read that. I just chose it because my hold came in and then I remembered she gave it 5 stars, so I told her to tell me to read it. But I definitely want to get to the other books that she gave me, which were Spells for Forgetting and... what else did she give me? Well, I said I would maybe read Malice, which of course I did not get to. So all this to say is I think Sid is good at giving recommendations, which we already knew. This was just like a fun video to get someone else to choose my TBR for once. And yeah, so I hope you guys liked it. I mean, I enjoyed these books even though I didn't read as much as I wanted to. And thank you again to Sid for helping me out with this. Love you so much. And again, if you guys are not subscribed, I'm sure you are. But if you're not, she'll be linked down below because we love her. So yeah, so thank you guys so much for watching. I have a lot of fun stuff planned coming up. So stay tuned for that. Hopefully I can get it all done. We'll see. But yeah, if you watch till the end, leave the little like purple like video game emoji. I think it's either a controller or like a little alien. I can see it in my head, but I don't know exactly what it is because I feel like that reminds me of Sid. So leave that emoji down below if you watch till the end. But yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you guys soon with another video soon. Bye!